on this committee and your tireless effort to get us back to regular order, moving these bills not only through full committee, but making sure that they're seen on the floor.
Yep.
Since January 20th, under President Trump's leadership, the department has actually become a priority. Rather than turning Border Patrol agents and ICE officers into paper pushers, President Trump has empowered the men and women of CBP and ICE. This has resulted in gaining more control on the border and the enforcement of our immigration laws. In fact, President Trump has signed a new law, the Laken-Riley Act, which further empowers ICE to help protect communities from criminal aliens. He has taken swift and decisive actions in other areas, such as restoring the voice officers at ICE and reduce bureaucratic red tape that was counterproductive to achieving the mission. DHS has a vast, important, and complex mission. Its 250,000 employees are responsible for keeping Americans safe from coast to coast, on the water, and in the air. As chair of the Homeland Security Appropriations Subcommittee, it is my responsibility to work with you, Madam Secretary, and my fellow senators to appropriate the resources DHS needs to carry out its mission. One of the most important areas that we must dedicate resources to is border security and immigration enforcement. I want to say thank you to the brave men and women of Customs and Border Protection and Immigration and Customs Enforcement who show up every single day to keep our borders secure, to keep our communities safe, and to enforce our immigration laws. Since President Trump took back the White House, we have seen historically low levels of encounters along the southwest border. In March 2024, Border Patrol encountered 137,473 people. Fast forward to March of 2025, under President Trump's leadership, Border Patrol encountered only 7,181 people. That's a 95% decrease. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Under the Biden administration, there were nearly 2 million gotaways, and in 2023, the Chief of Border Patrol testified that gotaways may have been underreported by as much as 20%. The work that President Trump and this administration have done to curb the flow of illegal migration is truly incredible. We've gone from record high encounters under the previous administration to 2 consecutive months of record lows. Ultimately, that means safer communities and families across our great country. But we cannot let up. We must continue to empower Border Patrol. We want our agents on the line to be equipped with the best tools available. We must also continue the renewed focus on interior enforcement, where we have seen tremendous gains since President Trump took the oath of office. In fact, since President Trump's inauguration, there have been a 153% increase in removals stemming from ICE apprehensions, a true testament to the work done by DHS law enforcement officials that are working to safeguard our communities. As you know, Madam Secretary, the ultimate goal of immigration enforcement life cycle is to remove individuals that are here unlawfully, and I commend your department in the pursuit and the end of that goal. One of the results of our open border policies supported by the previous administration was significant growth in ICE's non-detained docket, growing from 3.7 million at the end of FY 2021 to 7.6 million at the end of 2024. That is a 105% increase. Many will commit crimes while here, waiting their turn to be processed, which is unacceptable and why I fought so hard for the Laken-Riley Act to pass Congress. And that is also why I was proud to be there when President Trump signed that into law. I am incredibly proud when you look at the work that Alabama does to support the Department of Homeland Security and the equities there and so many hardworking, dedicated public servants who show up every single day to fulfill that mission. From the incredible collaboration between DHS and our college programs on research, to the HIS National Academy in Huntsville, to the Coast Guard's Aviation Training Center in Mobile. It's gratifying to see that I represent a state that plays such an important role in protecting our country. Alabama is also home to some key institutions that fit within the administration's priorities of empowering state and local law enforcement to have a seat at the table when it comes to disaster recovery and national security. Both FEMA's Center for Domestic Preparedness and the National Computer Forensic Institute in Hoover provide key resources to local officials across our nation to ensure that they are equipped with the best knowledge, skills, and tools needed to protect and serve the United States of America. It is unfortunate that trainings have been canceled, especially at a time when cities across this country begin to prepare for the World Cup and the Olympics. Madam Secretary, I am certainly open to conversations about how all of this evolves, but I want to make sure that we are looking at future threats as well as existing threats, and I believe that we can do both. Another FEMA area that not only saves taxpayer dollars but saves taxpayer lives is the BRIC program. Since President Trump signed the Disaster Recovery Reform Act, which authorizes BRIC, nearly $5 billion has gone to mitigation projects across 55 states and territories and 37 tribal nations that requested funding. This is clearly a popular and important program. The program obviously is not without its challenges. Applying and implementing BRIC grants requires resources to many cities, states, and tribes that they may not have. But rather than ceasing to implement it, we should work together to identify ways that BRIC could be amended to be less complex and more efficient. Madam Secretary, the people up here look forward to working with you and your team. We look forward to conversations about the President's FY26 budget for DHS. From what I've seen, I am personally supportive of zeroing out the Shelter and Services Program, and I look forward to conversations about FEMA, CISA, and TSA. I hope that we will see requests for base increases to CBP, ICE, and elsewhere within DHS. You have an incredibly difficult job, Madam Secretary, and have stepped up to do it during one of the most challenging times. I want to thank you for your service, and I look forward to your testimony today and to working with you and your team to making sure that America's borders are safe and its people are secure. I now turn to Senator Murphy and recognize him for his opening remarks.
Thank you very much.